Hello friends, in this video I will talk about web-based email client application. Let me tell you what this application is about. This is a typical knockout sample application. So this is the application which we are going to build today using Netbeans IDE, Knockout and jQuery. Okay, so if you see this application, when I click on the inbox, you see all the mails associated with inbox. When I click on archive, you will see all the archive associated mails. When you click on sent, you will see bunch of sent mails. When you click on spam, you see a bunch of spam mails. And it's a single page application, so it doesn't reload the page or anything. Everything is Ajax based, and when you click on a specific mail, you can drill down into the mail detail, and then when you go back again, it will refresh and then come back to the original page. So this is the application we are going to build today, and let me start building the application. As a first step, let me delete this particular application which was already there and open a new one. Okay, so as a first step, let me create a project. Let me give you a quick overview about Netbeans IDE. Netbeans IDE is a open source IDE from Oracle. Okay, so basically when you install Netbeans IDE, you especially have to look out for Netbeans IDE HTML5 PHP bundle. That is what you have to look out for. Okay, so once you download the application and install, it is about 60 MB. You see an IDE which looks like this, and then when you go here and then create a new project, you actually see HTML5 based application. So you pick this one, go to the next page, and then here I will give it as KTJS, and then I'll say email. And then I'll go to the next. Okay, when I go to next, it basically is asking me what template I need to use. If you notice here, there are templates. Some of the standard templates are Twitter Bootstrap based template, and then HTML5 boilerplate template, and other templates. For this particular exercise, I would not use any template. Let me go next. Okay, now we need to select a few libraries. As I mentioned earlier, we will be selecting two important libraries. One is jQuery library, and other one is Knockout library. Okay, so I select jQuery and then I select Knockout. Okay, and then finally I will mark it as finished. Okay, the email web-based email application, there is already a tutorial in Knockout. There is already a tutorial in Knockout which exactly walks you through how to build this application, this particular application. Okay, but then this is actually in JS Fiddle. That is, you write your JavaScript here and the HTML here, and then you run it, and then it just works locally here. Okay, we don't want to do that. We want to use Netbeans IDE to build a complete web-based prototype. Okay, that is the objective. So what I will do is, let me go back to our IDE. Okay, and here we already have all the everything plumbed and ready to go. So let me start including the JavaScript library and the Knockout library. Okay, if you notice, as we type, Netbeans has a very strong IntelliSense support. So I can type whatever, and then if I press the Control Tab button, it will automatically indicate what libraries we need to pick. So I will pick the JavaScript library. and then it picks this one, and then I go to jQuery and then pick the jQuery.js, and then I close the tag. Okay. Next I'll go here. Okay. Now let me save this. Okay. Now let me go back. As a first step, we need to create a application JS and put all the knockout based code. So knockout works on the principle of model view model. Okay. What it means is the view of the HTML and the data are always bound, and whenever the data changes either from the backend or from some other part of the view, it will update all the controls that subscribe to this data, and then that way it's always keeping everything in sync. Okay, so yeah, I will show that in this demo, but let me start copying. So I'll take this particular piece of code and let me create a here I'll create a new folder. Let me go back here, and then I'll create a new folder called app. Okay, and then it'll automatically create a new folder here, and then I just go and create a JavaScript, and then I'll call this JavaScript as main.js. Okay, and then let me finish this off. Now whatever I have copied there, I'll copy it here. Okay, and then I will save it, and then go back, and then I'll put as per this tutorial, I'll put few of those the folders. I mean, the first exercise what we are going to do is we are going to create the top level folder bar. So let me go back here, and then I'll go back to my HTML page, and then copy this particular piece of code. Okay, and then I also need to include the application code which I created here just now. Okay, and then I save this. Okay, you see the moment I save this, right? Now what we'll do is let's start demonstrating the debugging capability of Netbeans. Okay, so now let me run this. When I run this, if you see, these things came through. This particular li and ul does not look like this one. How do we make this happen? Okay, so I have already picked up few style sheets. I'll just copy those older style sheets and then paste it there, and then all of them will start working. Okay, so let me go back here, and then I just open it here, and then I'll just copy them. So I've already created some of these style sheets here. Let me copy this, and I'll go here and copy, and then save it, and then the moment you save, see what happened here. Okay. Yeah, we need to add the style. Okay, so the moment I save, I go back and add the style here, the folder style. Yeah, this is the one. Okay, now you see, voila, here you go. Okay, the next feature I'm going to develop is in the screen. When I click on a particular tab, it should depress, and the or it should push and then highlight. Okay, So again, let's go back to this tutorial. For that to happen, we basically need to add one more property. Let's go back to main app and then add that property. Okay, and then yeah, and then you have to, in the li, you have to bind this. Here in the li, you have to bind that. Now you save it. Now you go back and then see it. So when I push, it actually depresses. When I push, it actually depresses. Okay. So we achieved this effect. Now, so this ends the first logical step. Okay. Now we have to get the grid as seen here, right? Let us go back and then continue here. The moment you continue, okay. So now basically we are going to define another property called as chosen folder data. Okay, and then we'll make this as a observable. Okay, in knockout, whenever a particular data has to be observable, so what you do is you make it as observable and then you bind it to a particular HTML control. When you do that, any change to this data will be reflected in the HTML control. Okay, so I did this. So this is the first thing, and next what I do is I need to do a get and then do this. Okay, so here I add this. Yeah, so I go here and then let me put the indent. Okay, now once I add this, I go back here and then add the whole grid. Okay, mail grid. So here what I am doing is when I click on a particular tab, it should go to the server and fetch all the data back to the client. Okay, so that's exactly what we are trying to simulate. Okay, so I saved it. Now let me go back here and click. So nothing appeared here. So what happened? Let's go back. It is complaining here that local host colon 8383 mail folder sent not present. That means what? If you see this code, it is firing an AJAX call to a location called /mail, and then obviously that particular server is not running, or that particular URL is not there. So it is complaining it's not there. So what should we do? Okay, so in a typical knockout prototype building, we can simulate mock JSON objects. Okay, I have already created a bunch of mock JSON objects here, so I will use them directly here, but later I will demonstrate how to integrate this with a Grails backend or Node.js backend or something like that. For now, we'll just simulate the mock. Okay, so I just copy this JSON, and the moment I copy this JSON, if you see here, there are two. This one. Let us delete this guy. Let's not worry about this. This was some other for some other purposes. Okay, so there are two JSON objects. Okay, so now what I do is here in main.js, I'll just call JSON. So this particular location, JSON/mail.json, and then save this. Okay, let me go back to this example. Now if I click, voila, I got this, right? So that means it fetched the JSON object back and then bound to the control. The binding happens at this point. So it basically got the JSON object, and then for each JSON mail in the JSON object, it went and bound these 4 properties. Okay, so we got this. Now our next exercise is, when I click on this particular email, it should show me the details of this data. Okay, so how would I do it? Let me go back to the tutorial. Okay, so I go here. This is another thing I will just do. By default, when you load the page first time, it should always default to inbox. Okay, so let us implement that part of it. Okay, so I just highlight this here and then save it. Okay, now when you go back here and then you go back here, you see here it's always highlighting the inbox. Okay, so that is one piece. Now I want to show the details. Now when I click on this, nothing is happening. Okay, so let's go back to this tutorial and continue. When you continue, so here I'll define a new property called as JSon mail data, and then I'll set the values for that. So these are the behavior, right? So I'll set the values here. So JSon mail data. Now what I'll do is I'll go further down here, and then I'll say do bind for each mail in the TR level. I'll do. Okay, so I'll say do bind data. So I go back to index.html, and at TR level I'll bind this guy. Okay, now I also need to define toMail, right? So I will define a new property called toMail. Okay, so I go here and define a new property called as go to mail. Okay, mind you, there is nothing called mail here, so I have to use another JSON called as mail details JSON. Okay, so this is there. And also mind you, I have to set whenever you change from tab to tab, I have to set the to mail data as null here at this point. Okay, yeah, and then that's it. Now here I have to define a new HTML element called div body. So I have to define a new HTML element called div body. So either one of them will show, either the grid will show or the detail will show. The magic happens because we are setting this guy here. When you click on the folder, we clean the whole mail body and show the grid, and when you click on the mail, we'll clean the whole grid and then show the data. Okay, I think we are ready. Now let us see what happens when I click on this particular thing. Voila, it showed the data. Okay, so that's it. I mean, that's all is a demo. Okay, so let me summarize. Okay, so we built the whole application using Netbeans UI, and we also demonstrated how we can debug a HTML based application using Netbeans UI, Netbeans IDE, and we also showed you how Knockout works. We have briefly touched upon the good aspects of Knockout, like observables, and then how does the HTML DOM tree and the data is in sync always, those aspects, and we built a mock prototype. So I'm going to check in this code into GitHub for the benefit of for everybody. And my next demo would be about how I integrate the backend with the front end, and doing away with this JSON mock JSON objects with the real backend. I will use Grails tools for that in my next exercise, and then demonstrate how to integrate the backend. I hope you enjoyed this video. See you later.